Representatives Association. I have been your association chair for 5 years, and that's transitioned through a lot of stuff, through USA Track and Field Connect, which has had its ups and downs, um, other centralization by the national office, and of course COVID, of which we're all trying to recover from. Um, Michael has kept me abreast. I've appreciated everything Michael's done in his leadership position. I did watch the YouTube video of the last meeting. I thought it was a very good, efficient meeting, good feedback from all of you. And I approached Mike, as I do most associations, go, Mike, if there's anything I can do, you want me on a call just to answer a few questions, knock yourself out. So here I am. So I'm here to answer any questions you have from the national office standpoint, volunteer leadership standpoint. I might not know the answer, but you know what? If I don't, I'll tell you, I'll find out from the office and get the answer back to Mike, and he'll relay it back to you. So thank you, everybody, for having me on the call.
Yes, sir, Dave. Thank you. Thank you. So let's go to the officers. So we've done introductions before. For those that haven't, this is their first meeting. I'm Michael Harvey. I'm the president of USATF Hawaii. So glad to be here. I am a coach, a USATF Level 2 coach. I coach at Marinol, where my daughter attends. I'm also a master sprinter, which I love to give the young kids the smoke. And I have just a passion for track and field here in Hawaii. So certainly looking for the sport to grow even as we come out of COVID. So thanks for having me. Jake, did you want to introduce yourself, Vice President?
I guess I have no choice with that. Jake Gentry, Vice President, also official and Safe Sports point of contact, and just enjoy helping with both youth and masters.
Right. Thanks, Jake. Do we have Francis on the call? Francis? No Francis? How about Heidi, our treasurer?
I am Heidi, the treasurer for the association. I've been with the track and field, oh boy, I forget how long, since my older kids were youth. So I'm here.
Thanks, Heidi. Do we have Jane, our membership chair, on the call? Jane, are you here?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Jane Washington, membership chair for 5 years. Been involved with USA Track and Field since 1994.
Right on. All right, thanks, Jane. Do we have Joe, our community outreach chair?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Joe.
I've been involved with USATF just as long as Jane. Started with Hawaii Road Runners and went up to vice president. Hold on. You good? Okay. And then president. And now I'm the community outreach chair, which I'm still learning.
Absolutely. Thanks, Joe. And let's have Ron Pate introduce himself. He's the sanctions chair for USATF Hawaii. Hey, Ron.
Yeah, well, aloha, everybody. I finally got this Zoom thing to work. That was a pretty big challenge. I didn't know if it was going to work or not. And at any rate, for 2020, the biggest activity was we canceled every single sanction in the United States, which meant refunding money, which is going to be, I still imagine it's still a nightmare. I'm not sure how they're going to work it with our association, because they were sending us checks before with no detailed breakdown on what it was for. And at the same time, when they cancel these events, which means that I don't know if they're going to try to get the money returned to them. I don't know how they're going to do that.
Yeah.
At any rate, the new website seems to have some problems, because I'm the regional certifier for Hawaii for course measurement certification. And when a course gets certified, which I just certified a course in Hilo, It's supposed to be on the USATF website. So when we do sanctions on long distance races, the certified courses are supposed to go on the sanction. In this case, there's something wrong. The national office website is not interfacing with
Or-
RTC. So it's like,
Ron, let me.
but
I
whatever.
just wanted you to do a quick introduction. So we'll get back to that.
Yeah, but
And save time.
I've been with USATF since the beginning.
Yes, sir. Since the beginning.
So that's
Awesome.
before all you guys are born.
Okay, maybe me, but not the rest of them. Maybe me. All right, thanks, Ron. So we have a few coaches and team leaders that are new here. Do we have Coach Lee? Coach Lee, were you here last time?
No, sir.
Okay.
I'm new to USATF. I was with AAU. I'm currently a OIA track official. So I look forward to bringing my team over and
Yes, sir.
have some fun.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Coach Lee. And we had Mary. Mary, welcome. So glad to have you join us this evening.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome, awesome. And do I have any? Let me see. Any other new faces that were here? Oh, Coach Bowman. Coach Bowman, welcome to the call. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yep, Mark Bowman. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And we have the world champ, Cynthia Monteleone. Hello, Cynthia.
Hi, can you hear me? Sorry, I'm at the.
Oh no. Thanks for joining us. And if I missed you, if you're brand new, oh, is there Jesse? Is there Jesse from Valley Island Track Club?
You too?
Okay. Well, we'll give everybody a chance to just ask questions or introduce themselves later. So let's move on with the agenda. This mouse click. Okay, here we go. So we talked about the last meeting, our officers. This is a recap. We discussed the website and the 3-step verification. So you oftentimes may hear what's 3-step, what's 3-step. So 3-step is for safe sport. 1, USATF membership is required. 2, background screening. And 3, safe sport train. Right. So those are the 3 steps that to qualify you for a safe sport certified coach and official. So USATF, requires it is. I know it's very hard to do. Trust me, to find volunteers that are going to spend the time to get certified. But this is actually a requirement by USATF for for coaches and for officials. So we can save time to discuss that perhaps if you guys have any issues with that, but we can talk about it here shortly. We shared the association stats. I'm glad to see that there is some growth since our last meeting. We talked about the tentative meets of the USATF 2021 championships, particular in our cases, the USATF Junior Olympic Championships, as well as the Masters Championships, which those dates have been confirmed. Here's a breakdown of our association and some statistics. The standpoint where we are on Oahu at the moment for USATF, Hawaii, and Summer Track is we do not have a commitment for a venue just yet. We're certainly working on that, but at this moment we do not have a commitment for a venue. I'm so happy to see on the Valley Isle, Maui, that track and field is alive and well there. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. That they were able to have a few meets there at War Memorial Stadium. So good job, guys, on Maui. Congratulations. Keep up the good work. But here on Oahu, there is no venue to host any meets. But like I said, we are certainly working on that. The statistics for our association have grown, as you saw in one of the other slides. There were 106, now 150. And those can be attributed to the growth of Valley Isle Track Club that has gone up, nearly doubled in their numbers to 55 active members. Here's the breakdown of the 150. I just threw some statistics there. Not that there's a competition between male and female, but or youth and masters, but certainly there's some breakdown of what our membership contains. The majority are masters, and the reason for that is we have a lot of officials. So plenty of officials, not so many open, but we certainly have a lot of youth and a lot of officials in our association. So here's some developments with USATF. The Connect website is where you will go to for the Say Sport, the background checks, officials information, as well as membership updates and age verifications. One of the changes that we've been used to here in Hawaii was our dear Jane Washington would always take the birth certificates. She would check the date, verify, and then stamp you as age verified. That is no longer allowed. All age verifications are done through USATF by the parent or guardian. So coaches, get ready for an influx of questions as we do age verifications. The parents will have to upload a JPEG or image file of the birth certificate to have it validated within the USATF Connect website. And that is something new that was implemented once USATF Connect came online. The USATF Junior Olympic, the national championship, is in Jacksonville, Florida. I had a conversation this morning, in fact, with Jackie White. And here are some of the few bullet points that they're stressing. I'm not sure about the Masters Championships, so this just applies to the JO Championships, where they require COVID testing on site. Previous vaccination does not matter, and they're planning to test teams and clubs together. So all of this is still being figured out, but she was able to share at least some of these detail with me. Unfortunately, if someone is tested positive within a team pod, the entire team will be disqualified, and that's a rough sale. That's really a rough sale, considering the time, the distance, the money, the travel expenses for all of these youth athletes. But they're working out the details there. So, and as I mentioned, the USATF Masters Championship was in Ames, Iowa. I imagine there'll be some similar testing strategy along with that. Yes, ma'am. Mary, do you have a question?
No, I'll just let you know, we had a meeting this morning and Jerry Buckenwiener was at that meeting, and there is nothing, we don't even have the site set up yet that you could register. And they're still trying to work out the protocols that are going to have to be followed. And so everything's still up in the air other than the date and the place.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. No, you're absolutely right. It is a moving discussion each day. It's changing back and forth. So it's very fluid. So I know that hopefully they'll have our best interests in mind as they make that decision. Certainly, I think we all have our opinions of wear a mask, don't wear a mask, social distance, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But these are the rules. These are the stipulations to compete. So that's what we'll have to follow. All right. So next slide, track and field in Hawaii. So it's good to see, honestly. It was about this time last year. In fact, the 18th of April, we had a meeting, USATF, and we basically said we called off the entire season. So it's certainly good to see track and field return, particularly here on Oahu and ILH and OIA, and also Maui. So Jesse and Valial, you guys really keep it up. Give me a second. You guys keep it up. Heck, we may find ourselves competing on Maui for the Hawaii Junior Olympic Championships if that's a possibility. So, no, I'm glad to see you guys continue on. There is a rule, and I know that there's maybe a little gray area within the ILH, and Coach T, correct me if I'm wrong. The ILH and OIA in the competition on Oahu, any sports are required to wear masks during competition. And that is a rule that's set forth by the HDOH, which is the Hawaii Department of Health. So at least Here in Oahu, that's the case. I'm sure Maui, you guys are all following those protocols, and what the mayor of Maui has instituted for you all. But just be aware, particularly as clubs, as you guys practice with your teams, um, we certainly don't want to get anyone in trouble or violate any rules for they to shut us down. So just be aware of the participants that you have, the spectators that you have, and the mask that the athletes are competing with. I know at Marinol, it's very difficult for me to send kids on, repeat 300s and have for them to have to wear a mask. It is tough, but that's the role and that's the rule. So results are posted at athletic.net. So it's awesome to see the intermix of ILH and OIA and the Valley Isle teams competing in the rankings being shown there. So some awesome results I've seen so far, even despite the mask they're wearing. So here's what we're planning, at least from Oahu perspective, and we hope that this will be an opportunity to spread throughout Hawaii. We're planning to do a run, jump, and throw session. This is mainly for the youth. I guess we could do a run, jump, and throw session for the masters, but at this point, it's really for the youth. So the events are run a 50-meter, broad jump, softball toss, and likely shot put, perhaps maybe for the older kids, a small shot put. We likely do 3 different individual sessions, 1 each hour for 7 and 8-year-olds, 9 and 10-year-olds, and 11, 12-year-olds. USATF membership is not required. We're going to make this a free event. So if we have other locations, Maui, Kauai, Big Island, that are interested in doing these, I will set forth where USATF will help organize the event and allow the local organizers to run it, just to make sure that we can bring in registration through athletic.net. And the purpose for athletic.net, I think, is the easiest way for us to collect information, just in case, God forbid, if there's a incident with COVID, we have the information of who attended and what time they attended the event. So we're saying no spectators, but it's not a lot of parents that are going to drop their 7 and 8-year-old kid off and then come back in an hour. So we're going to tell the parents to actively walk around the events, right? So we'll have different stations, but the parents can actively walk around, take pictures, video, that kind of thing. But please do not bring the lawn chairs out and be stationary. We're going to try to have this event done, and our community outreach director, Mr. Joe Washington, is working with the Parks and Recreation here in Oahu, as well as Kim, who is our contact with athletic.net, to get this implemented. And as I mentioned, we like to have this as a guideline for neighbor islands to host. The return to sports, you guys have seen the announcement. You probably have seen the parks become even more busier. So Hawaii Department of Health has a link or a guideline, a PDF, that kind of dictates what return to sports is. So I'll put the link here, and it applies for both practice and competition. So I won't stick on the slide very long, but the link is there in the document if you guys have any questions about it. Again, sharing, this is our proposed schedule, at least from the standpoint of Oahu. The keys to look at are the July 10th date as the Hawaii Junior Olympics qualifier, which will give everyone ample opportunity to go and qualify for to run at the Junior Olympics. As I mentioned, excuse me, this is our potential schedule here. So we'll keep you guys updated if we're able to stick to that schedule by acquiring a venue first and foremost, and then be able to conduct these meets. Our 2021 cost structure is the same as our 2019 cost structure, as the same as our 2020's cost structure, in particular to Hawaii. Now, USATF membership has gone up. is now $25 for youth, $40 for an adult, $150 for a VIP membership, which gets you a couple of other extras. And there's a $140 four-year membership, officials, or you can pay $40 a year to be an official. And then, of course, as I mentioned, the $20 summer one-time fee.
Hey, Mike.
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
Heidi.
Hey there,
Can you
Heidi.
can you make the screen larger, please?
Oh, I don't know if I can do that. Let me see here.
Thank you.
I don't know if I can do that. Heidi, did you get the email? It's in the, oh,
I got the I got the
Okay.
email. It's
All
for
right.
some of the participants.
okay. How's that? Is that too large? I have to scroll around if it's,
Oh, Mary said that's good.
okay, Mary, good, okay. All right, let me go back that slide then, previous. Let me go back one more. Excuse me. All right, and then let me blow this one up here. Okay, here you go, Mary. All right, so $25 for youth, $40 for adult, the $150 VIP membership, as I mentioned, gets some extras. Club fee, this is basically it's $50 club fee, $35 plus insurance. That's per year. And then, you know, the other information here. So you can find the fee schedule at this URL. And as I mentioned, the Safe Sport volunteer compliance cost structure here as well. So moving on to the next slide. One second, having a little bit difficult. Okay. So our next steps, folks, is we want to continue to share information as information becomes available to us. You know, as I mentioned here in Oahu, the challenge is the venues, but you know, we're hopeful that we will be able to work that out. The track and field competition here in Oahu has gone pretty well. I understand that it's gone pretty well in Maui. So, you know, I think following those protocols will allow us to have an semblance of a season. Unfortunately, maybe without participants, excuse me, it may be without spectators. So perhaps we'll have a lot more master athletes join to watch their kids run at those meets. So, but we shall see. So I've scheduled tentatively our next meeting for May 16th. Hopefully we'll have some different news to share with you all to discuss how we can move forward with the summer. But in the meantime, and between now and then, please, by all means, feel free to email us, follow us on social media for any new and updates, and please share this information with your athletes, your parents, and your club leadership. So we go to questions now. Thanks for everyone patience. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, ma'am, Mary.
I was wondering, because on Maui, I spoke to the mayor's office, and during practice of a mass, well, my club is all levels, but mostly masters at this point. But he said during practice, if we're vigorously exercising, we do not have to wear a mask. And that was from the mayor's office. So
Mary, that's fantastic.
the other one, the Department of Health? Or
Yeah,
not?
yeah. So that's you know, and I think it varies from honestly, surprisingly, but not surprised. It varies from island to island. So Blangiardi, of course, is our mayor, and Victorino is the mayor of Maui. And I think there's some leniency as you talked about the vigorous exercise. And I'll raise it to Coach T and also to Coach Rick here. Our athletes, when they're competing in the ILH and the OIA seasons, they're required to wear a mask. In fact, we have what they call SAMs out at the meet, and they are identifying and you know, pointing out athletes, and teams can be disqualified for not wearing proper facial covering. So it's a mandate that was passed down from HDOH, and ILH and OI are following it to the letter. So if you look at that link that's there, it's fantastic that Maui is able to, you know, compete differently, and it's something certainly I'll attempt to raise to our you know, track and field leadership here.
I don't know about competition rules.
Yeah.
I know the high school kids have to wear masks during competition.
During competition, okay, okay,
Right, but they haven't said anything about masters competing
yeah,
with or without a mask at this
okay,
point.
okay, yeah, I see your point, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
No, it's a challenge, Mary. It really is, and I think we're just looking for more clarification. From where I sit at USATF, I'm not providing any sort of edict to say you will do this. I'm saying here are the competition rules for USATF has offered, the guidelines that they have offered. Here are the rules that, as I understand and sharing the information, you know, from the HDOH and the local and state guidelines. But I, as president, cannot and will not dictate to anyone here that you must wear a mask. I'll say, careful now. Let's not violate those rules to lose any of our sanctioning. But from where I sit, I'm not making anyone do any different than what's being told to us. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Mary. That was a very good question. We have to find out on masters. Thank you. Coach Lee. Oh, Coach Lee, did you have any questions? Thanks for joining us.
Only question I have is it a deadline for when you guys want us to officially be registered with USATF, or just anytime prior to the 22nd?
I'd say just anytime. I mean, you know, to be able to compete, your athletes can compete as unattached, right? So if you are hesitant to want to, you know, create a club just to see what's going to happen, your athletes will still have to have their own USATF membership, and then we can transfer them over to your club once you've established that. No, there's no deadline to create a club. But however, before our first meet, they must be a USATF registered member. And that's for our sanction meets. For the run, jump, and throw, you know, if you have youth, no need for them to register.
Okay, that'll work.
Okay, that's a good question.
Michael, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
The OIA principals had a meeting the other day along with the athletic directors, and one of the rules that they brought upon the situation that during the race, if a boy's or girl's mask comes off, they're qualified from that event.
From the event.
How's that?
Wow. Yeah.
wow.
That was not the athletic director's position, got outvoted by the principals of each of the OIA schools.
Wow.
So it's really wild.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that is, and thanks, Coach T, for sharing that. No, you're right. That is, you know, unfortunately, we're in no position, USATF, nor even the athletes or the parents are even in a position to argue that, right? Understand.
Not at this point.
Yeah, not at this point. they can take their ball. They can take their ball and go home. You know, these principles, right? So we just have to adhere to, you know, if they tell us to tie our shoelaces together, you know, okay, right, fine. You can't jump hurdles with shoelaces tied. You'll do it, or you won't compete. Okay, I'll just tie my shoes together and jump these hurdles. So, but thanks, Coach T, for sharing that.
Yep.
But and to that point though, you know, I want to ensure that the clubs that are representative here, you know, your athletes, your parents, I'm sure, are just beating down the door with questions and inquiries. I know at Godspeed, I know they are, right? So by all means, get your kids out, man. Get them out, get them in a park somewhere, find some land. If you can get on the track, fantastic, fantastic. Lucky you guys. But get them out and compete and have maybe have competitions within the clubs. Um, I'm not a fan of virtual meets. I really am not. Uh, but you know, at some point we're going to have to be either savvy enough to if USATF Hawaii cannot compete at a track here in Oahu, we may have to go to a park, or I'll work my magic at Hawaiian Airlines to offer some discounts for everybody to fly over to the Valley Isle, right? And we'll go compete at War Memorial. So, um, but please to get your athletes out. You know, reach out to them tonight, tomorrow, and start having practice. Get ready.
Do you know if the restrictions are still limited to 10 per or 9 plus a coach?
Who can answer that better? Heidi or Jake? Can you guys answer that? I'd say this. Let me say from the standpoint of where Marinol is practicing, we have up to 30 kids, and we're practicing, right, with mask. Now, granted, we're practicing on our campus, so I think that we're treating that as a school activity. But I don't know, Jake or Heidi, can you guys answer that question?
So under currently, yes, it's still 10 per group. But I think like you guys at Marino, how you guys are handling it, it's on private property. One, you guys are still social distancing, I'm sure, even if you guys have kids, right? Whether it's 10 in one group and 10 in another group. I guess it's all perspective on how you look at it. You know what I mean? So by population, yes, it is still 10, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I'm just going to chime in just a little bit because I know with us at Layla Hua, base is 10 kids per one coach. And we got roughly around 42 kids. Luckily, I got enough coaches to be able to split everybody up, and basically because they want to try to keep it with, although we're one team, but they still want to keep it like section off with pods, basically.
Yes,
so
sir.
if one kid with that 10 gets sick, then that pod basically can't come back. They got to quarantine and stuff.
Right. Okay.
That's an OIA rule, Michael.
Say that again, Coach T.
OIA schools are supposed to be 10 and a coach.
10 and a coach. Okay.
Whether schools are getting around it, I wouldn't want to get caught.
Yeah, no, I understand. So is in Coach Lee, is Lelehua, are they full-time campus on in campus learning, on campus learning?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we started back on the 22nd. No, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's unfortunately, and to Coach T's point, you know, I believe based on what we're allowed to do as, you know, my role at Marinol as a assistant coach, the AD has approved for us to you know, practice as such. I know that the other sports, girls softball, boys baseball, are practicing at parks, and there are, you know, 30 kids, right? So I think I would just validate. So please don't let me tell you so it's safe to go back in the water when, you know, the rule is we know it's 10. It's 10 groups of 10. So 9 kids, 1 coach.
Yeah, well, you know, me personally, you know, I think that works great. Now it depends on how many coaches you have, because in our club, we've always been that way. We separate it, but I mean, 10s are almost perfect depending on how many coaches, because it's going to be different age groups. And then of course, you might have to do different sessions, different days, but for age groups. But I think that's actually, to me, is a great idea, depending on how many coaches I can muster up.
Yeah.
But, so you know, I'm glad that the state that guidelines like that, at least, you know.
Right. Ron, we can see you brushing your teeth, but that's okay.
Just don't go further than that, Ron.
So the other question I have is about, you're talking about testing, those are national championships. So what about if we have a championship here, are we required to test people?
Joni, that's a great question. I don't believe so. Let me go back to the slide. Let me see which slide it was. And there's some COVID guidelines, and maybe I can open this up. We're doing okay on time here, so I'll go back to the COVID logistics. Let me see if it'll open up here and just kind of share you. This is from the
updated it as well.
Okay, thanks, Dave. So, and Dave, maybe you can speak better to this point, right? The associations is it up to them the way they hold their association meet, as long as it's within the guidelines of, and let me expand this a bit. Here, I think there's a rule here that talks about moderate, Control F for moderate. Right, and Joni, I have to go through this, but in a moderate risk meet, and Dave, maybe if you know this better than I do, could you chime in?
So it depends on what sort of event you're running. When you see over here on stateside a lot of elite athletes competing, they are all tested prior to competition. So they become a low risk event. So they don't have to do a lot of the other capacities. Unfortunately, if you want to have an association championship, which is a lower risk at level 2, you do have to test. Now you can do a level 1, which is higher risk, but then you have to implement every other lane, whatever that says, but that's what we do without testing. That is sanctioned events, which really, minimum your association championships have to be sanctioned.
Indeed, right.
Other than that, other clubs can host events and get outside insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be frank, that's what a lot of clubs are doing. But I think, as Michael, you found some of the clubs in Arizona, they ran afoul with the requirements, not fulfilling them, and they're suffering lawsuit challenges now.
Yeah.
So, folks, what we want to do is A, keep our athletes, our coaches, volunteers safe. B, have all of you keep your homes. We don't want anybody to lose your home because you were either A, ill-advised, or 2, didn't follow the guidelines and got into legal problems.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Not going there.
I'm just trying to figure out when we start doing meets, like, do we have to test before each meet we have and that sort of thing?
Yeah.
And because you got sanctioning, right? In order to get sanctioned.
Yeah, and Joni, I mean, to that point, it valid, and I think I'm sharing my screen here that shows the section 1. So
right, I read those.
So for moderate risk meets, we have to have social distancing, right? So we have to have every other lane. That would prevent us from having to test. Right now, you're not going to be able to test, 7 and 8, 9 and 10-year-old kids every week. So the idea of that is, can we do it so that we have responsible social distancing? And I'm following whatever the guidelines are for USATF. Right.
Okay.
So, but from our standpoint, from USATF Hawaii standpoint, we are not filtering or determining, we are strictly saying if USATF says that the requirement is less than whatever social distancing, protocols and such, that's what we'll follow. But that's a good question. In fact, Joni, just another point to that. Jackie White, who is the national, and Dave, who is Jackie? She's the national youth chair. What is her? Okay.
National youth chair.
Right. So Jackie White, she's the national youth chair, and they understand that there are associations that are in worse situations than we are, and they're trying to see what is the right way to allow athletes to compete at the Junior Olympics. It will be tough. I mean, you saw some of the stipulations that Jackie said, and I quoted her directly from her email and also a conversation that they're going to test bus loads of kids. So if Godspeed Track Club Hawaii pulls up and you guys show up in a van and you show up to the meet in Jacksonville, Florida, everyone on that van will be tested as one. And if one person comes up positive, everyone on that van is qualified. So,
but Michael, let me, and again, I sit on that youth committee.
Yes, sir.
And that is, the rationale for that is for the larger teams, or the Atlanta team, the Houston team, Phoenix teams, who do hire a bus and drive in, for better or for worse, those kids are breathing the same air. Now, your situations are different.
Yes.
Perhaps where you're flying with your parents in, or a coach. So what I would encourage you to do, and this is where you have to work with Chuck and Robin Beedman, is if I'm part of Valley Isle, we're sending 20, but I fly in with myself and a parent, test me first, please.
Yes. Yes.
As opposed to everybody getting together in the hotel for Valley Isle and then test.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Your situation's gonna be a little different.
Yeah.
But do ask for that accommodation, because it's a real one, because you're flying great distances to get there. Now, the good news is 2022, the JLs are in Sacramento.
Right.
So we'll save you some coin on that one, fortunately.
Yep. Yep.
Also, too, I don't want to forget, Michael, you admitted the youth outdoor. It's an equally far distance. The Youth Outdoor Championships, 22nd, 27th of June in Rome, Georgia.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah, I'm neglected.
If there are any youth athletes who are fit enough and want to make the investment on a flight, they have that event they can go to as well.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yep.
When's 2022 Masters? Where's that going to be? Does anybody know?
So, and Michael may be aware this is Mary. We were scheduled to have the 21 Masters in Sacramento. The Sacramento County Authority, just as a lot of you are having frustration with, couldn't give us final details. And Jerry, rightfully so, he said, Schrock, if I can't get a commitment, I'm out of here. Jerry got to do what's best for the Masters Committee. So he found a home in Ames. 22, I'm unsure right now. 23 will be back in Sacramento. The reason why we can't do 22 is we have the JOs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think 22 is in the same venue that it was originally scheduled for.
Okay.
For Masters.
Jacksonville again?
I'm not sure where it was, but I'm pretty sure they didn't change that one, and then they went back to Sacramento for 23.
Oh, no, that's perfect. That's going to take me.
It's listed on the website.
Okay. Okay. Right.
Also, too, Michael, one last thing about Safe Sport.
Yes, sir.
Folks, most all of us on this call already done the 90-minute Safe Sport. Now, your refresher course is only 30 minutes. In fact, I think I did mine in 18 minutes. And you know what? We all work with children. It's good information for us as adults to keep in our mind when we deal with children and we deal with the intermix of parents or adults who we may not know. It's good information. It's less rigorous than what the first Safe Sport training is everybody goes through.
Yeah. No, good point, Dave. And I think mine was under 20 minutes as well. I mean, you once you've done the initial training, the refreshers is pretty easy, right? And it's for our own liability benefit, right? I mean, I just bought my home, so I definitely don't want to lose it. So let's as coaches, as leaders, let's do those things that keep us in good standing. Any additional questions?
Yeah, Coach, Mark Bowman, just wondering, back on the COVID topic,
Yes, sir.
vaccinations. Does that impact anything, or is it a waste of time to get vaccinations as far as USATF goes?
As far as USA Track and Field, unfortunately, it's not a waste to get a vaccination, but will it make a difference if you have to get tested or not? No, not at this point. Because states and the federal government has not come up with an idea for a bulletproof, fraud-proof COVID passport. We don't have that yet.
Okay, well, that's a whole different topic, but I guess my other question is the national meet, Junior Olympics, I think you called them, are in Florida. Does that mean that USATF will adopt the state of Florida rules? And as long as we're in compliance with that, we'll have less, or I should say, if we comply with the rules in Florida, are we okay?
Unfortunately not. It has to be the USA Track and Field sanctioned requirements that Mike has up on the screen for us now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, and Coach Bowman, it is, we were saying earlier that, and in fact, let me go back to that slide if I may. Give me 1 second. Let me get back up to that slide.
Mark, it's frustrating. Trust me on this. I mean, you on the islands are not alone with wanting to get back to practices, want to get back to competitions. And, we see a lot of these challenges in front of us. And they are what they are. They're to keep our athletes and our parents and our coaches safe.
Yeah. So, Coach Bowman, I'm sharing just some of the items that I bulleted pointed with Jackie White, who is our National Youth Chair. So there was no mention of masks to be worn, but certainly testing will occur for athletes. Right.
I would suspect masks will be worn right up to the start line.
Right up to the start line. Okay. All right.
Expect that.
Yeah. Okay. No, good. Yeah, thank you. Good conversation, and Dave, thank you so much for chiming in here. Did I have any questions? Any questions from the Valley Isle? Cynthia, perhaps Jesse, any questions or input? No. Okay. From the officers, Jake, perhaps Heidi, you guys have any input, feedback?
I don't have anything.
Okay.
No, he said no.
Okay. What about Jane or Joe?
No, we're good.
Okay. And of course, I want to leave time for Ron Pate. Ron, did you want to chime in?
Ron, let me answer a question for you that you brought up.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, for Ron.
So you mentioned that right now your group and David Katz cannot get your information onto the new USA Track and Field website. You are not alone. Separate code has to be written to interface any previous data brought in. So make sure that David is politely persistent with the office and who the liaison is, and inshallah, it will eventually get done. So all your certifications, and I mean, you do a great job in Hawaii. There are other great folks in other regions and associations. It'll eventually get to a point where you're going to be able to upload your information.
Ron, did you hear that?
Yes, okay,
Okay.
now, also, I just need to remind everybody that, that when you go to sanction an event, when you go onto the website and click on the sanctions, the first thing that's gonna come up when you want to sanction a new event are gonna be the COVID-19 protocol. And I suggest that you read it very carefully. Because that's gonna be something you're gonna have to include now in your sanction application.
Mhm.
And also you have to remember that USATF does not sanction NCAA or high school track and field federation events. In other words, it would have to be, it can be a youth developmental meet, or it can be an open meet or open masters and youth. You know, it needs to be open to, to everybody. If it's just high school and it's a high school meet, it cannot be sanctioned by USATF. So two things, remember, read everything on your sanction application carefully, and especially read the COVID-19 protocol, because that's subject to change at any time.
Yes, sir, Ron. So Ron, just to clarify that, right? So could USATF Hawaii, could we sanction a meet that was open to ages 13 to 18?
Yeah, that would be like a youth developmental.
Okay, perfect. All right. So that would have, but we couldn't have an 8th grade meet, a 9th grade meet, a 10th grade meet, that kind of thing, right?
No.
Okay.
No. And there's a specific question that asks, is this a high school meet,
Yeah.
or is so the best thing, the easiest thing, just open it to everybody, because you're talking about, if you're talking about masters and open, you're talking about one race,
Yeah.
and you may not even have any participant,
Right.
to protect yourself.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Awesome. Cool. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Ron. So thanks for everyone. Hold on, let me get a second, go back to the last slide here. Hopefully this meeting was beneficial to everyone. Hopefully, if you guys have any questions, please let us know, and we'll follow up. Thanks again for Dave Schrock joining the call. We appreciate everything you do for us and representing the West for us. And if the floor is open, anyone have any questions, concerns, issues, input?
Michael, you had mentioned, or you had asked about the timing system at the USATF Hawaii meeting.
Yes, sir. Yes,
and I
sir.
just wanted to see if you got that information that I sent you for the Eagle Eye system.
I did, and we are talking it over within our USATF leadership and officers. And Jake, that was the email I sent to you about Eagle Eye, about acquiring our timing system. And Jesse, you think it works out pretty well for you?
Well, other than operator error, it's because we got it on a Thursday and the meet was Saturday. That was not enough time to figure out how to use it.
Right.
The second meet with it went much better. There's still some issues, but you show up with a backpack versus all the other crap you carry with the snakes.
I know.
So it's a very user friendly. Once you figure out how to use it, it's a very user friendly system.
Yeah.
And it's less expensive than you can go. If you go with the 2 or the 3 camera system, it gets more expensive. But we're using a single camera system. You can do the 2 camera with the witness camera. And then we connect. We're using athletic.net as our meet manager, so it works very well.
Yeah. No, man, you guys keep it up. That's awesome. I can tell you what I'm not sure if Walt, Coach T, still on the call, but from an ILH perspective,
I'm here.
We're using Seconds Count. It's a app that does video timing, and there's a margin of error because the timer is watching the smoke. So when the smoke goes off, he hits the button, and then at least he has the time. So there could be some margin error. It could be early, could be late, but at least it's if the timer is early or late, it's a single timer rather than multiple people with stopwatches. So it works. Walt, Coach T, are you guys using FAT timing? Yeah. Okay.
Well, Earl is,
Yeah.
and I think the other two meets, there was one at Roosevelt, and I think they borrowed stuff from Kaiser.
Okay.
Yeah, I think has got their own stuff. So supposedly everything was electronic.
Okay. Okay.
And, in fact, even at Moanalua, we're now using an electronic starting gun.
Yeah, I remember that from 2 years ago. The
No, this is a different one. No, this is a new one.
Oh, really?
Earl's always looking for something better. You can ask the starter. He was there.
Coach Lee.
Yeah, it was definitely different holding that that new starter.
Yeah.
It was different. It's not a gun no more. It's just it made me feel like a Statue of Liberty.
Oh yeah. What sound does it make?
Well, the gun sound I would not suggest it because it has a bad echo to it, and it sounds horrible. So we basically went with the tone sound. I think the kids they reacted to that a lot better than the gun. So yeah, if you get it, just know it's different.
Yeah. Okay.
Which starting device are you using?
I'll do it.
Coach Lee, what starting device is that?
Well, it's the so it's something new that Earl boy, I don't know the technical name for it, but it's basically it has a light at the tip. It's like basically like a if you think about a flashlight, that's basically what I compare it to. It basically it looks like a flashlight and has a little button on the back side of it.
I don't know what the name of it is either.
I guess.
Say that again, Jesse. Oh, Jesse, you're breaking up.
A couple of systems out there now.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
good.
yeah. No, that's good. That's good. It's better than the old days of 2 2x4s with a hinge before them and you clap them together. Get out of here. Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, we're at the top of the hour. Aware of
I got a quick question.
Yes, sir. Coach Rick.
Coach T, what's the word on Ruby Tuesdays? Is it going to go off?
Ruby Tuesdays is dead in the water.
Okay.
For this year, let's put it that way.
Okay, I got you. That was.
You know what? I hate to say it, but there was too much interference from the ILH wanting to run their championship meet on the same day.
Oh man.
To the morning, and we could have run in the afternoon. So there's some issues that Rick Nakashima and I will.
What schools were at Mount Laurel yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Okay. Well, I'll share some news, and Coach T, you probably know as well as I do. So they are about to tear UH track apart. There will be no long jump pit. Excuse me. There will be no high jump pit. There will be no pole vault. They're actually looking for a different home for that. They're bringing the stands right up to lane 8 on the what's the
Mackay side.
Mackay side, yes, sir.
Yeah.
And UH track for hosting any of our meets will likely be off limits for the next 2 years and thereafter, right? So the venues are probably -1 for the sake of track and field here in Oahu. So I don't know why UH is building a new stadium. I always said they should just remodel War Memorial and just hold their football games over there. But what do I know?
Yeah, that's not how the politics work here.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
Cool. Okay. Well, I want to, like I said, want to make sure that aware of everyone's time. It's about 5 after, but we can adjourn if no one else has any other questions.
Michael, I got one more. I
yes,
think.
Sir. Mm-hmm.
Does Jesse want Earl's email address so he can write to Earl?
I tell you what, I'll after this I'll share and introduce with Jesse and your email and Coach and excuse me, Earl's email and Coach T. And
okay.
I'll also add Coach Lee there as well. So okay. No, good.
Thank you for the
Network.
meeting.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Sorry, it wasn't
No, hey,
very positive.
no, it, you know, just having conversation is positive enough. So I appreciate you guys' time. Thank you.
Blessings to you all.
All
Have
right.
a good one.
Thanks, guys.
Aloha.
All right.